Walter Corwin Murray was the second oldest of 7 children born to Commodore Chauncey Murray and his wife Lucinda on January 24, 1841. His father was a wealthy merchant who owned large parcels of land in Tustin, New York, and the family lived a comfortable life in a small hamlet on the western part of town, known as Narrowsburg, a life Walter left behind when he decided to enlist in the Union Army on September 20, 1861. Walter was only 20 years old, but he was now a private in Company E of the 56th New York Volunteer Infantry. He was trained and equipped along with the rest of his regiment at Newburgh, New York, and they left for Washington, D.C. on November 6, 1861. Walter sat down to write this letter shortly after the regiment set up camp at Kalorama Heights, a rural area located northwest of the city. The regiment remained in camp here, guarding the capital until March of 1862, when they were attached to the 1st Brigade, 3rd Division, 4th Corps of the Army of the Potomac. Headquarters, 56th Regiment, Kalorama Heights. Dear Mother, we left Newburgh on Wednesday, November 6th, on board a barge, and traveled all night. And next morning we landed at the foot of 14th Street, where we formed into line and marched up to the Everett House, where we received a splendid stand of colors. And then we marched up Broadway and had a dinner consisting of roast beef and soup. Some said it was beef soup, but I guess they made contract with the street commissioner of New York for all the old dead cats and dogs they could find for us. For such a mess I never tasted of before. Well, we got along with it as best we could, and from there we marched down to Jersey Ferry, and got on the cars and went to Philadelphia, where we had a splendid breakfast. Cold ham and hot bread and butter and coffee of the best quality. Although I came from the state of New York, I will brag upon the city of Philadelphia. We got on the cars at the above-named city, and to Baltimore, where we paraded the streets amid the cheers and shouts of the people, and arrived in Washington about 4:00 a.m., and stayed in the cars until about 8, when we formed again and marched to the barracks and had our breakfast, and the next morning up to our place of encampment, where we are getting along as well as can be expected. I was very sick yesterday and last night, and vomited blood, and if I had any money I would get some good tea and toast, which would help me along. We have no pay yet, and I wish you could send me some. Be sure and send it in gold if you send any. I could not eat anything at all for 2 days. Everything looks so filthy. I guess I will get better soon. Kind regards to all. I will write again soon. Your son, W.C. Murray. Walter and the 56th New York left Washington, D.C. on March 10th and advanced towards the battlefield of Manassas, Virginia, which the Confederates had held since the start of the war, and they found the land deserted. Confederate forces had retreated on March 9th, leaving a scarred and desolate landscape for Walter and the men of the 56th to find. Many of those who had fallen during the battle still lay unburied or partially covered in shallow graves almost a year later. The sights and smells must have been revolting beyond words. The regiment marched on until they reached Newport News, Virginia on March 28th, where they set up camp. Walter's health had been poor before this grueling journey, but now it was in rapid decline. He was sent to a nearby hospital, where he died of typhoid fever on June 6, 1862, at the age of 21. 213 enlisted men died of disease in the 56th New York during the war. To put into perspective just how terrible this number is, the 56th New York only lost 63 enlisted men in combat. Walter's father paid to have his body embalmed and returned home, where he was laid to rest in Glen Cove Cemetery, Narrowsburg, New York.